Hello, is anyone there? Welcome to the Sound Corner podcast. Hello?
Refreshing.
There's Blake, our lovely producer.
Hello, hello.
And there's Michael, my amazing co host. And I'm just doing this because I can't figure out how to get back to the main screen. But how's everybody doing tonight? There we
There
go.
you go.
Yeah. Welcome to another edition of Sound Corner Summer, where we sit and just ramble on about our personal opinions rather than sitting down with a guest. We got some great ones coming up for you, but today we are just gonna sit around and discuss hard opinions and possibly getting Blake canceled.
Oh no, not again.
It's a matter of time before it happens.
It's gonna happen.
Don't
So
lob factual statements at me.
so I wanted to start us off by talking about dating sims. Am I right, fellas?
Dating sims.
Why are you gonna drag me like this?
Wait, are we gonna talk about Leisure Suit Larry?
Oh, that's a really good. Oh yeah, totally forgot that existed.
We're gonna talk about the soundtrack for that game. It's just women moaning the whole time.
In preparation for this episode, I was like, I'll listen to the Doki Doki Literature Club soundtrack, and I was like, that's a pretty good game. Really enjoyed the game. I streamed it on this channel at some point, like last year, and it's also the Steam Summer Sale, so it's on sale, and I got it. I think maybe the Winter Sale is when I got it, so dirt cheap, and I got Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, and I'm like, do I need to play this again? A dating
Yes.
sim?
Absolutely.
Really
I
good
was
game.
going through Steam Summer Sale today, and because I wanted to get something to play before I hyperfixated and Fallout New Vegas again, I didn't look into it. All right, I'm not in degenerate mode today, but I saw one that was called Orc Massage, and I was just like, you know what? Some things just didn't need to be made, and I can assume that game is on that list.
There's like, I think I've seen like Hitler Sex Party or
Yeah,
something.
I was about to bring that up. You brought that up a while ago.
Yeah.
It was like a Hitler like anime dating sim thing.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, Steam really got everything now.
The best dating sim is the Colonel Sanders dating sim, and I will not hear any dissent in this matter.
No,
I've not seen that.
If only
what is
if anything, we're gonna ascend with it because I also have it downloaded. It is. I think it was made by KFC.
That's some good advertising. It's almost like back in the day when Burger King made those really awful like Sneaky King like games.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like it's your first day at this extremely sophisticated culinary school, but it's ironic because it's KFC, and I think your instructor is Colonel Sanders, and you're like, oh man, I love
You're
him.
just sitting there like, no, you're wrong, Colonel Sanders.
And then then you guys fuck, and then
Yeah, then you wanted his 27 herbs and spices, so that happened.
you want his 2-piece.
The secret recipe.
But yeah, is there a consensus on playing a dating sim again? So like,
I mean, like, I'm gonna get like some shit from this, but you know what? My weeb friends aren't around right now. Fate Stay Night, the visual novel game, is just a very convoluted dating sim, and you cannot fucking dissent my opinion otherwise.
that's kind of how Little Buster's dating, or no, it's not. It's Little Buster's visual novel. It might as well be a dating sim because this is a show.
Yeah.
You know.
Yup, essentially.
But the music in anime and anime video games and even dating sims are very good. And that I wanted to segue with that into our topic today. We are discussing the best video game soundtracks, whether it be the actual playlist from the game, or I think we're going to even dive into a few scores, like the original music written for the video game. And I have plenty of those in store as well. Because
Oh, absolutely. There's
How is this gonna work? Is it just like we're gonna shout out like video game after video game?
yeah, we're not going to explain either. We're just going to
Just
say this one.
chaos,
Go.
Just pure like in every direction.
I don't know about that, but this stemmed off from our last Sound Corner summer where I don't even know what happened. I think we were talking about okay, so I dogged on Yellow Card in our group chat.
Yeah, everyone dogs on Yellow Card, and fucking Sweet Muffin always calls me a Ryan Key looking ass motherfucker.
Yeah, so then Blake posted it on Facebook that I don't like Yellow Card, and no one really said, "Hey, we also like Yellow Card" in
No.
the
Well, yeah,
comments. Technically,
that is how that be though.
yeah.
Everybody
Everyone
like
gets so tired of Ocean Avenue, no one remembers the other like fucking 6 bangers from that album, and I'm just getting mad
So-
about it.
when I went through like a really bad breakup a couple years ago. I mean, what else is new? I'm always going through a bad breakup basically. But my roommate at the time suggested, I think, Awakening by Yellow Card. He was like, "Listen to this. Like, this is gonna be a super like meaningful.
This is gonna
like,
make you
song
feel
for you."
worse.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Oh, it's Yellow Card though," and I listened to it once and never put it on again after that.
I forgot that they have like a violin player in their band. I'm like, that's ugh.
Yeah, literally all of the Ocean Avenue, that lead guitar is a violin. They literally have a guitarist and a violinist. That's the whole album.
I don't
And
like that.
I did not realize that until like a couple months ago. Like I didn't realize there were strings in like Ocean Avenue.
There's
Yeah,
one.
it's
It's kind of cool though.
There was a.
it's less apparent in Ocean Avenue, but on like Breathing and Way Away, they're full frontal. Like the whole opening that when it hits a Breathing is just all violin.
There was a song on Guitar Hero 5 from Yellow Card where you're playing the whole song chart is on the violin. It was a good
Yeah.
song though, but I don't remember what it was called. It was really like fast and upbeat, which is good considering Ocean Avenue is
Ocean Avenue was just overplayed. It's
Yeah.
not even anywhere near their best song.
yeah, it was
I
just
can't
lame.
even think
Sit
of
on this all
anything.
day long. We should actually get in because I will argue this point all day long.
I can't think of anything except that one meme where it's like, "Yo, where the fuck is my driver taking me?" And it's just the Ocean Avenue meme.
And all the
That's
pop
what I
punk
think.
kids were like, "Holy shit, they did it!"
They did it. They made it god tier content.
The holy
I
grail
think
of
it's funny
memes.
because Ocean Avenue is in like Jacksonville or some shit, and nobody wants to fucking go there.
No one wants to come to Florida.
The pop punk holy pilgrimage.
Well, I think a lot of pop punk
Jacksonville.
stems from Florida, right?
And wanting to get the fuck out of Florida.
But yeah, so that technically anyway, we like sidetrack into oblivion. That's where this prompt came from. Our idea for this episode was me shitting on Yellow Card. As isn't that how it always goes though?
Kind of.
Yeah.
We've been talking about doing an episode like this for a while, I think, though, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that idea. That's the idea for a hot minute to do this kind of shit.
So,
The idea, I think, was always kind of like it came from partially from us talking about like how the old like EA games and I guess the new EA games have like those banger soundtracks, and we were kind of always just like, oh, well, let's do an episode where we talk about like the EA games or the sports games or whatever.
yes, and that's to start it off. NHL 2006 introduced me to Avenged Sevenfold with Bat Country, and I was like, it doesn't get any heavier than this, brother. This is I discovered Drop D, and it was all over from there.
Everyone already knows the one I'm gonna harp on, so I'm gonna start with my obscure ones because everyone already knows where I'm gonna hit with this, and it's all coming. I am gonna say, by the way, if you're here to see any of us talk about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I am sorry.
Yeah, just go ahead and hit
Maybe
the red
the
X.
Yeah,
There's
we're
some good
we're only
songs
going to
there,
be
but-
talking about American Wasteland.
Yeah.
It was an obscure game for me. It was one of the earlier games my cousin actually gave me. Was this jet ski racing game called Splashdown. And if you were hanging around during the intro, the first song that Chris played was from a band called SR-71. And that song, funny story enough, I heard that song in game. I remember the name, couldn't remember the artist. And this was back in the days where you were illegally downloading. You'd give your whole PC a virus because of LimeWire. And until I was probably like 13 or 14, I thought this song was by Sum 41. Because that was what it came up as on LimeWire. And I just had my fucking stupid little MP3 and iPod shuffle full of illegally downloaded music. So I was like, okay, cool. And apparently thousands of other people thought the same thing. But no, they're actually completely different. The band is fucking better than Sum 41 and well, correction. better than some of Sum 41's albums. I'm not gonna
Some
open
of the
that can of worms.
41s.
This was a really common thing like in the early days of the internet, especially like when we had LimeWire and like all of that stuff where you'd see songs pop up, and if it was by like a relatively like obscure band, even if it was a well-known song, it would be like, oh, like Green Day does this song, or oh, Blink 182 does this song. And that was the case with Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger for a long time when it became really popular because of like the American Pie movies. On LimeWire at the time, it was credited to like every artist except Harvey Danger.
Chiodos. I know they did. They did a cover of it. It was probably
Yeah,
Chiodos. But
it was Chiodos. They did the original version.
But like Blake said, I cannot relate to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I think Superman by Goldfinger is a bop of a song in the first place without Tony Hawk Pro Skater. But I can definitely justify for Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. I played that a lot in late middle school, I think. I think I'll age this really well. I think I actually bought it from Blockbuster, like when you could buy the game, and or I just stole it. I don't know.
Not only did you just age that like that conversation, but you aged all of us as people as well.
Everyone
And
just
now I
like
feel old.
has gray
I
hair
just
now.
aged for like 6 years. I just don't have wrinkles, thank God. Like,
So this game had this was, I think it came out around American Idiot. So yeah, it had Holiday. It had a few Nirvana songs. It had My Chemical Romance doing like a Cancer Bats cover or whatever. I think
A lot
it had
of covers. We had like that the institutionalized cover.
Yeah, which
by
I-
Census Fail.
I actually just ran that in the intro too. It was like that's from American Wasteland. Super
That was a
good.
solid cover. That was how I discovered that song.
Yeah,
yo,
super good hardcore like in punk and stuff. But Institutionalized was actually also in Guitar Hero 2. I believe it was
Yeah,
an
and wasn't
Activision cover, but
Well, I thought it was that same cover, wasn't it? That Census Fail cover again?
no, it wasn't.
every
No?
time it's
I'm gonna look
every
this
time
up
it's
right
been in
now.
a video game, it's been some kind of either artist cover or the studio just had their in-studio band cover it. 90%, there might be a soundtrack out there where it's actually the original song, but for some fucking reason, every time you see it in the game, it's a cover.
And
That was So I know some songs they had problems getting the original masters for. I think like if you hear I think Black Sabbath on Rock Band or Guitar Hero, it's a cover, obviously.
it's really bad too.
Oh yeah, no.
What
they
was
were-
the
it
other
was
one?
nowhere near.
Was Wolf Mother a cover too?
I don't think
I
so.
swear to-
I feel like Wolf Mother
swear
was a
to God
very
it was.
it was a very new band, so I don't like at the time. I don't think it was a cover. But shoot. No, y'all ever heard Body Count's cover of Institutionalized?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
That's actually
it's-
the first version I ever heard of
It's so funny how in the original version of the song, the dude's complaining about like depression and all this shit, and then Ice-T is just like, I just wanted to play some Xbox, but
Yeah.
my wife wouldn't let me.
Me fucking too, Ice-T.
Imagine getting institutionalized over wanting to play Xbox, but your wife was watching TV.
I do want to crack in because like I feel like racing games were like the big thing. Like obviously, it's gonna go to the very obvious direction that everyone knows me for down the list. But one of the other early ones for me was Midnight Club 3. Because there was some really good hip hop and stuff like that. I wasn't super into rap when I was younger, but there were some really good songs I did listen to off that. But the punk soundtrack and alt soundtrack on Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition and Remix was fucking fire. Jimmy World, Marilyn Manson, Block Party, Unwritten Law, The Explosion, like all that shit was like dead to rights for me when I was, because I played these games when I was like going right into middle school, so 10 or 11-year-old me. I got like my first like MP3 player, I think end of 5th grade, beginning of 6th grade. I bought it for like $40 to my allowance, and I was just fucking downloading video game songs illegally.
Yeah, it was like you were going into middle school and you're like, I gotta pick my personality, and video game soundtracks like really helped me with that.
It got me into that. I mean, it was fire. I mean, them and fucking obscure ones for me were the old ATV games like Off-Road Fury and Quad Racing and stuff like that. I mean, let me pull this shit up because this shit was actually really good looking back at it. I mean, you had Mini Suzuki, Slipknot had Duality, Coheed and Cambria, Less Than Jake, Stereo Gum, Acceptance, Good Charlotte, fucking Keith Urban had a random song on here for some
Yeah.
reason. Crossfade. Oh, who the hell was it? Yeah, there's two. And unfortunately, they're fucking canceled because they used to be really good. But Lost Prophets was
Yeah.
on the fucking
Oh
soundtrack.
no.
And now now it's just like, well, fuck, I can't listen to that band anymore. I remember when
can't
that shit
even-
happened, and I was just like, really?
You can't even bring that shit up,
Yeah.
bro. That dude,
No,
that dude
absolutely
was
fuck
fucked
not.
up.
Like, that's like, there's some condemned shit where it's like, okay, you know what? Band gets canceled, vocalist goes away, they bring in a new one. Lost Prophets just said, you know what? Nah, fuck this, we're gone, see ya.
Really ruined all that for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no bouncing back from that one.
No, you just can't. Like, you can kick out a vocalist for some minor allegations or some other stuff. I mean, shit, even fucking As I Lay Dying came back from the whole Hitman thing.
Why?
Somewhat successfully. I've got my own opinions on it, but it's whatever.
I think that we're all the
But
same
like
though.
that, Lost Prophets could not come back.
No, and that their big song "Rooftops" was like on everything. It was like in
Yeah,
every Guitar
Rooftops
Hero rock
fire.
band, yeah. And it was just they blew it. But I feel like I was gonna save this question for later, but I want to ask it now. Is there any songs from any video games like that made such impact that it's still with you, like very important into your daily music, like listening and everything?
All right, so maybe not daily music listening, but I remember at the time it was pretty big for me was discovering Knights of Sidonia by Muse on Guitar Hero 3. I
Hero
think.
3, baby.
Yup.
Yeah.
Legendary Rock. Knights of Sidonia.
I remember discovering that song and I would just listen to it like on repeat for hours on end. I'd never heard. I mean, it's weird because it's a combination of like different music styles. Like Matt Bellamy's dad was a guitarist in a surf rock band in the 60s, so you've got like some of that. But you've got kind of like the sci-fi like synthesizers that like Muse does. And I was so intrigued by the song and like the falsetto singing. It kind of like blew my mind literally.
Yeah, like a combination of like sounds that you've never heard before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think
I mean,
my answer is probably very similar. Back in the day, when I was a big Rock Band player, Rock Band is the reason that I play drums. But back in the day, you had to buy a separate disc for an expansion of songs. For
that's
PS2,
fucking
you
I
had
know
to
where this is going.
you had to play the individual disc every time. But if you had Xbox 360 and PS3, you could rip the disc onto the original Rock Band game. Irrelevant, just my fun little Rock Band knowledge because I'm always looking at that shit. The first track pack that you could get for Rock Band had "It Hurts" by Angels and Airwaves on it,
Yep.
and I believe this was before I was even a big Blink fan, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's Tom from Blink-182." And at this time, the song was probably only about 2 or 3 years old, too. And Angels and Airwaves became my favorite band. I put that song on my Zune and everything. A Zune. Excuse me. A Zune.
Yo, I will rep Zune until I die.
I think I would
iPod
too,
can
yeah.
Fuck off. And you know what
Speaking
I just noticed that, like now you can get like iPods that have like little custom things etched into the back of it.
Mhm.
That was a Zune thing first, I'm pretty
Yup.
sure. Zune started that shit.
Zune had that shit.
On the subject of I'll go into mine in a second. On the subject of Angels and Airwaves, so I don't know too much of the band, but that just jogged in a core memory of mine. Again, I downloaded it off LimeWire, so maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just forgetting the song title entirely. Did they have a song called Head First for Halos? Or it might have
No.
been-
No.
Okay, then it was probably a different band, and the artist was just wrong on LimeWire, because I can't remember what fucking band it was.
Jamie,
but-
pull that up. Head first. I
Head
can't
First
reference
for
Joe
Halos.
Rogan on here. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, no, don't.
It's
While
my
we're talking about Angels and
it's
Airwaves,
My Chemical Romance.
Oh, is
like-
it really?
Yeah.
I
Hey,
got my
Really?
very cool Poet Anderson pop.
hey, I want to look up
Oh,
how much
geez,
that's
I want
worth.
Pops. I feel like for me, really, like, Sans one of my big ones that I don't even want to get into because I'll sit here all day and fucking talk about it. Definitely would have been Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. I mean, maybe not the specific songs that were on it, but touching back to it, I mean, shit, dude. Slayer, Slipknot. Yeah, I fucking listened to Disturbed in middle school. Suck my fucking dick.
Mhm.
I will absolutely unabashedly say that I do listen to Painted Black at least fucking 6 times a week by the Rolling Stones.
Oh, so
Not
good.
one fucking
Love
song.
Painted Black.
Yeah.
Miss Murder, AFI.
That was a big one for me from Guitar Hero 3 as well.
Can't Be Saved, Senses Fail, FCP Remix by The Fall of Troy, Helicopter by Block Party, Duality by Slipknot, which also on that subject, self-titled turns 23 today, the greatest fucking album ever written in the 90s. I will not hear any dissent on that either. That's not opinion, that's fact.
Was music
But
just
I
better
mean,
back
really,
then?
like, there was just so much on this. I mean, to this day, I mean, maybe not the specific songs, but I mean, I still listen to Slipknot daily. Kill Switch Engage was on there. I mean, fuck, Prayer for the yeah, shamelessly listen to Rise Against every day, but not the new shit, the old shit. Siren Songs, The Counterculture, Suffer and the Witness, Revolutions Per Minute, excuse me.
Like music was either better back then, or there was less music back then. So anytime we saw this shit on like a playlist, we're like, oh my god, they got this
There
band.
was there was definitely less exposure to the wide amount of music that we have now. I mean, with the internet and everything.
Yeah, it was because these were like a lot of these core games were back before the big age of social media. Like, yeah, MySpace was starting to become a thing back in like 2005, 2006. But like, you didn't have, especially, if you were younger, like, because we were all right about like, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12 in the mid 2Ks when these were coming out. You didn't really have that kind of exposure because we weren't a fucking teenager on the internet. But even then, the internet wasn't as wide as it is now. You didn't have Spotify doling out, hey, you like these two artists, here's 10 you might like. So it was up to like video games and movie media to be like, hey, here's some cool songs we found. And like, some of these songs were bands that no one's fucking heard from since.
We were spoiled. We're spoiled now with all this access
I,
to music. It's crazy.
oh, yeah, absolutely. But I feel like, too, like, that's how like things spread. I think it was a different time back then, too. Because, I mean, you look at, it could have been a gift and a curse. I mean, you look at, whatever now. Like, I mean, even video game soundtracks now, a lot of stuff's OST kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah,
Mhm.
sure, you'll see sports games with some songs in it and stuff like that. But like, I mean, they really, you look at some of these bands on these soundtracks back then, even still now, they were super underground back then.
Yeah.
And some of them never really even made it out of that stage. So it's like, how the hell did they find these guys, you know?
Well, I want to go back to what you said, just like how some sports games now have like the sports songs. I have NHL 2019, I believe, on my PlayStation 4, and the big song on it that plays with the main menu is fucking "High Hopes" by Panic at the Disco, and I'm just like, this isn't the same. He's also
It really isn't.
canceled, I think, but
He should be canceled.
he should be.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about, though. But yeah, so
No.
it's like 6 songs too. It's just not the same. But I want to tackle the importance of opening up. You can, Blake, you'll feel this one 100%. You turn on your PlayStation 2, Burnout 3 Takedown, and you're gonna let the intro cutscene roll in, and it's the Lazy Generation by the F Ups.
That song ingrained in my skull. There are very few songs off of that soundtrack that I do not know word for word.
That one
I'm
is
listening to it right now. I have Spotify on my TV open right now. I am currently listening to the Bouncing Souls.
yep, they were on there too.
That track for me was like that for me back when I was a kid. I mean, it was. Let me turn my light up here because I just went to a black screen. Uh, I mean, that really was that because when I got a PS2, I think that was fifth grade. Burnout 3 Takedown came out in 2005, 2006. Let me fucking correct myself on that before I, do that. Yeah, 2005, 2006. And so that was, I was just kind of getting into games and stuff like that, and that was one of the ones that I bought. That and my cousin gave me Splashdown and a couple other games for PS1, PS2. But I mean, that was the soundtrack for me. I mean, that got me into all kinds of alternative music. I mean, that track list is just perfect. I mean, I can't tell you, bad song. I skipped maybe one or two songs in that soundtrack, but I mean, it's fucking flawless, dude. 18 Visions from first to last, Atreyu. That was like one of the first heavy songs I ever got into. Was Right Side of the Bed off of the Bleeding. I mean, that was phenomenal. I mean, on that subject of like that we kind of roll back to of like obscure bands, it is Moments in Grace is on that soundtrack. They're actually a Florida band. They have the one album, Moonlight Survived. It came out in 2006. Yeah. Actually, I fucking date myself right now. Yeah, that is 2006. Yeah,
Burnout 3
so
was their big break, wasn't it, for like a
it
minute?
was. And then they never did anything else again. Like, they actually have, it's one album. They have vinyl for it, they have CDs for it. Granted, they're all super fucking rare. I mean, I actually looked at a vinyl for it about a year or two ago, back when I was still collecting vinyl. The motherfucker's like $400. But I mean, like, it was, they never went anywhere after that. It was literally, they were a big Orlando, not big, but like they toured, they did all sorts of stuff, but it was just the one album and they just gone.
One hit
They were
wonders.
just gone.
Yeah.
But that was just the introduction to so many. I mean, you had Paper Wings by Rise Against, The Explosion, The F-Ups, Future Heads, Donuts was really good.
Franz Ferdinand, Fallout Boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
My Chem had I'm Not Okay, I Promise, and that was like, I didn't even like know what depression was back when I was 11 years old, but I was like, this is a banger, bro. I dig this shit, but I mean, that was really like the big one for me.
So
To this day, I mean, I have the playlist on my Spotify. I still spin it up when I'm driving and shit. Like,
So it's safe to say that now in like, or I guess let's say like high school, early high school, late middle school, I started playing a lot less sports games. Also,
Yep.
video games just didn't have soundtracks really, so I'm less connected to some of those later games. But there's two I can name that I was like, this is important. Everything about this is super important. I'll start with probably like 10th grade. The first Skate, right?
Yep.
You open the game up, and then the intro cinematic plays of your character getting hit by like a fucking car while Girl You Have No Faith in Medicine by the White Stripes is playing. And I was like,
Yeah.
let's go. This is
Yeah,
amazing.
That was, as soon as I heard that song in that game, I was like, I'm gonna fucking like this game.
Yeah, like the whole intro cinematic is like you getting rushed to like the emergency room while this song is playing. I was like, this works so well. But there were so many great alternative rock songs. There was a few good hip hop songs. There was good classic rock. There was like The Clash, Queen Bitch by David Bowie, Lounge Act by Nirvana, and there was another one. Shoot, another really good one that I can't remember. But there was a lot of really good ones. That was like, yeah, that was like early high school. And then the last one that I can mention for this era is Saints Row 2, but also Saints Row the Third, which was
Yes.
insane. Where the metal
Saints
station
Row the
had
Third.
fucking Between the Buried and Me, Miss May I, The Faceless, Dillinger Escape Plan. Like on the silliest fucking Grand Theft Auto rip ever, and it's just like insane deathcore.
Soundtrack was fucking stupid because like I think I played that game closer to like senior year of high school, so like I'd already known about like a couple of those bands at the time. But like, yeah, I mean, you don't see that. You don't. I don't. I think it's the biggest thing is like you don't see those kinds of soundtracks of video games anymore.
No.
Like, I mean, even let's even look at modern Need for Speed, and Burnout hasn't released a fucking game in forever. And they need to fucking fix that because,
Yeah.
like, sorry, the series is better than Need for Speed. You can suck me on that one. But like, I mean, you even like modern Need for Speed. You look at Need for Speed Heat and Rivals. I mean, yeah, there's like a couple like okay hip hop songs on there, but I mean, like, it's all really just like kind of electronic house music and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
don't really, I don't know, maybe when we were kids, before we kind of knew how everything worked, maybe like that whole alt rock metal kind of thing was like maybe it was a lot bigger back then than we realized.
It was also a bigger way for exposure for bands back then. Like,
Yeah.
I think bands relied on it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's something I actually kind of want to look into. Maybe I'll make that something I do one day when I'm fucking doing nothing. Is
So
kind
I-
of looking like how that process worked. Because I mean, you go back and look, and you see some of these bands. Like, yeah, some of these bands are definitely like getting big. Like, I mean, My Chem was like already hitting it. They'd already released Bullets and done full U.S. tours and stuff back when Three Cheers was coming out. So like they were already kind of getting really big back in the day. But I mean, like you had small bands like Local H. Who the fuck knows who Local H is? Like that man's got like whatever on fucking Spotify. I mean, it's just crazy how you don't see that kind of variety even on most tracks anymore. Like, yeah, you'll have like maybe an alt rock song or whatever on like NHL 19 or something, but it's like most of it's just kind of like, okay, this is like the radio music you expect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a good one. Or actually, I have a question, and it's going to segue into us talking about what I believe is a very important game or series as far as soundtracks.
Run it.
But can you think of a good original song that was written for a video game?
Ooh, I know there's a good answer for this. I just don't know what it is now. That was
You want me to
just say
here?
yeah.
I'll say mine, and then we're gonna segue into the series that it's from. But what I chose was "Nine Is God" by Waves.
For Grand Theft Auto 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I thought, honestly, the Grand Theft Auto series is one of the biggest series as far as like music usage.
I didn't even think about it. I said Saints Row, and I didn't even think about
when
it.
you said Saints Row, I was like, how is he not thinking Grand Theft Auto right now?
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas
definitely had some good stuff, like for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause the way they did the radio station stuff, like they weren't very big soundtracks. You maybe only had like 4 or 5. You had like probably 3 or 4 radio stations that actually had like legit music on them. But like each had like a good little selection. But for me, for that, I have 2 answers, and it's Sonic 06, where the guys from Zebrahead did Sonic's theme, and it's Sonic fucking Heroes. I think Crush 40 did the fucking Sonic Heroes or somebody else. Can't remember off the top of my head. I'm actually gonna fucking look it up here in a second. Did the actual Sonic Heroes song, and I played that shit in my fucking MP3 player on the bus in middle school. That shit was fucking good.
That shit was in Smash. It's on one of Sonic's stages in Smash as well, which is why I remember it. But the Grand Theft Auto one is super important because San Andreas, I spent fucking more time than any game in my life playing that. And for about half of that time was me listening to K-Rose in the Badlands with I Love a Rainy Night playing. I have that shit saved on my Spotify now because of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It was the vibe back then. It was amazing.
It's really cool to see that each Grand Theft Auto that's come out, I feel like the radio stations have only gotten like bigger and bigger. So by the time I got to 5, we've got a ton of different radio stations. There's all sorts of different music. We've got one of the radio stations is actually DJ'd, and the host is the lead singer from Waves.
Oh yeah.
And then of course they wrote "Nine Is God" for the actual soundtrack, and that in itself is such a fucking banger.
A$AP Rocky also wrote a song for Grand Theft Auto 5. I think Tyler did as well.
Yep. Because by then, like we had like. That was when I don't even see that was when like video games really like a means of like big name production style, but that's when you really saw, because holy shit, GTA 5 was almost 10 years ago. That shit came out in 2013, 2014.
It did. Don't think about it too hard.
We remastered like fucking 80 billion times, but that was really when we saw the turning point for video games become, I would say, even more mainstream soundtrack wise.
Mm-hmm.
If they actually did stuff like that, you would see more of just, oh, okay, who you would expect to be an artist on a soundtrack, okay, they're there. But like, still, I mean, Tyler and Waves doing those like custom songs for these games was still fire.
It says a lot.
You know?
It makes me excited for whenever we get Grand Theft Auto 6. I guess we're still a couple years out from that. But just like the amount of like music that's going to be on it.
Grand Theft Auto like was really good at making you feel like you're in the moment. As with Vice City, you know, taking place in the 80s, it had the entire 80s soundtrack. Tears for Fears, Michael Jackson. San Andreas being like mid 90s, so you had Alice in Chains, and then you had all the late 80s rock. And even with Grand Theft Auto 5, like the biggest like pop song they had in it was that song by Rihanna, "You Make Me Feel Like I'm the Only Girl in the World," and like it felt like relevant to when the game came out, and it was kind of cool how it felt so realistic with the radio stations. And they started even implementing like talk shows, like strictly talk show stations and everything. Which
that was always one of my favorite things about I don't know if it was San Andreas, but San Andreas sometimes like the advertisements on the radios would just be like completely fucking bad shit insane.
Oh, because I got the GTA trilogy remaster, and so now that I'm not 10 years old, I'm actually listening to the banter on the radio stations, and it's fucking hilarious.
You're like, Dad can't stop me from listening to this now.
Yeah, like some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and it was bonkers. It was hilarious.
I think the one thing too, it just fucking, it just kind of came back into my head. It was a weird game back. It was, when the fuck did this game come out? I don't even remember. It was like the early 2010s, or something like that. But there was a game. It was kind of campy. Didn't sell very well. Jack Black actually voiced the main character. It was
Brutal
Metal,
Legends.
Oh, Brutal
Yep.
Legends.
Yeah.
Brutal
Yeah.
Legend. And after you completed the main game, you got like this huge track list of stuff that would play in game, and I mean, the fucking track list is ridiculous. Because I just remembered, I'm like, I wonder who was on this, because I played this game, and I knew some of these artists, but I mean, I'm going through it, and I mean, holy shit! I mean, you had Rotting Christ, Diamond Head, Dark Tranquility, Death Stars, Black Sabbath, King Diamond, Motley was on there, KMFDM. Dark Fortress, Rat, Judas Priest, Static X, Tenacious D, of course, fucking
Yeah,
Jack Black's
Of
fucking
course.
narrating the game. It's gonna be in there. Dawkins. Oh, I know there was one. Yeah, Demi Borgers on there, Ice Earth's on there, Ministry. Like, it's just that was super cool to see. But I feel like nowadays, like converses to like the early games that we grew up on, you don't see the more alt stuff anymore. Like, yeah, like you said, on NHL 19, you've got fucking like High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. That's a fucking radio song at this point.
Yeah, it's a pop
Yeah.
song.
Like, you don't really see the underground stuff. Like, yeah, you got occasionally Crush 40 pumps out a new Sonic song or something like that, but we don't really see that kind of diversity. Like, yeah, Grand Theft Auto really does kind of get the good handle on it with their diversity with their radio stations. So I think we'll really see that in 6 as well. But we don't really see that alt diversity. Like, you don't really have something like, let's take it back to Burnout 3. I mean, you've got all kinds of alt rock, pop punk, metalcore, straight up punk rock. You don't see those kinds of like alt blends on these games anymore, and like I don't know why. Because that for us, like, yeah, music's a lot more accessible now, but I feel like that would still be a big way to get people, especially younger kids. Like, you throw that shit in a racing game now, like you throw some punk rock songs in the Forza Horizon, and maybe a kid who's playing that game right now, 5 years from now, he's gonna be fucking listening to Kubla Khan and Trivium. Like, who the
Yeah.
fuck knows?
I wanna
Like,
I wanna talk
Can we talk about how I started listening to DMX because of Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods had some really good like
Yep.
hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
yep.
But
That's like a core memory for me. We used to play that one game on there where it was just like the driving range.
Mhm.
It was like Top Golf, but like years ahead of Top
Yeah.
Golf, I guess.
Yo,
And every once in a while, Party Up by DMX would come on, and that's engraved into my brain.
the Tiger Woods soundtracks are very good. Very minimal, but they're very good. Hollow Queen mentioned DK64's intro theme, so I want to segue over to video game scores after this last honorable mention, and this is very recent, and I want to give it props. It's like last year recent, so and everyone's like, of course Chris would mention this because he's a fucking nerd. The Guardians of the Galaxy video game, and we all know that Guardians of the Galaxy has become very centered around Peter Quill's love for 80s and 70s music because of his mom, and he always has a Walkman on him, which it wasn't in the comics. Music wasn't a big important factor in the comics, but so the video game came out last year, and the soundtrack for Peter Quill's Walkman is all 80s new wave and like arena metal. And so they brought back the whole, do you want, music playing while you're running through the game? And it's really cool. It's like Tears for Fears, Flock of Seagulls, Motley Crue, and then some other like Sweet Dreams, whatever that band's called.
Eurythmics.
Yeah, that song. And so that was like the most recent thing I can think of where this game has a whole soundtrack of bangers, and it was kind of nostalgic as I was watching Kalen play it, and it was really exciting. But I was kind of bummed out that they changed it more towards like 80s arena metal rather than like 70s disco, like funk music, like in the movies. Yes, also Rick Ashley is on there with Never Gonna Give You Up. But
It's kind of I know we talked about it a little bit, but I don't think we really touched on like how much like the games like Guitar Hero and like Rock Band, where it was essentially like all these old songs, really did for like what they did for this generation, I guess, a whole generation of people discovering like older music or even like newer music that they weren't aware of, but like just like video games that have like actual soundtracks, like songs that have existed for years and years.
And we're just finding out
Absolutely.
about.
I feel like too for on the OST subject, I blame my boy Ramus Proggy Froggies in fucking chat, and that man has me listening to all the fucking Sonic soundtracks constantly. And Adventure 2, Sonic 06, Sonic Heroes just have absolutely fire. Like they have some like good like vocal like they had Zebrahead, Crush 40 do songs stuff like that, but like the OSTs on on those games are just fucking phenomenal. Like you've got some all kinds of little mixes and stuff, but like they're jazzy, they're fun, they groove. You can just sit there and vibe to them. Like I have one big name I'm gonna name after we get a couple out, but I have one that is blatantly obvious from my music taste that everyone knows that I'm gonna fucking talk about with OSTs.
I have one for Chris that's going to be blatantly obvious.
While we're on Sonic real quick, just I'm gonna touch this real quick. For Sonic 2, the movie that just came out, the Kid Cudi song, really good.
Yes.
Very,
really good.
very
Yes.
fucking good. It's gonna be
Yes,
on
it
repeat.
fits perfectly.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
I don't remember which song that was.
Stars in the Sky, I think.
I think so.
When did it play during the movie?
It plays kind of like after the intro. I think it's also in credits. I haven't seen the whole movie, but I saw that and it's on
Yeah, they
TikTok.
played twice.
You
Right
didn't
during
watch-
the intro and then towards the end.
You didn't watch that whole movie, bro?
Very mid. Go ahead. What were you gonna ask?
You say very mid?
Very mid. What were you gonna ask?
I'm gonna beat you, Chris.
Wait. What was mid? The
Did it-
movie or the?
The dance scene. I didn't like the dance scene. It kind of turned me off. Like in Norway or whatever they were. I was like,
In like Russia?
yeah, it kind of turned me off. Go ahead.
I'll
What were you
admit
gonna?
that was okay, dude. That was still a great movie, Chris. I'm gonna drive to your house and beat you while you sleep with a bag of soap.
Doors unlocked. Come on. The
He's
first
gonna-
song is
he's
gonna really good.
He's gonna Full Metal Jacket you.
The first movie was fantastic. Go ahead, Mike. What were you gonna ask, please? Before I
Oh,
get rolled.
I was gonna say. I was gonna call you out and say that I know that this is going in the Kingdom Hearts direction.
It's already on my list.
Yep, that's what I figured, and it's on my list too, I guess.
I found the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack at Barnes and Noble's in the Grove in Los Angeles when I was like 6 years old. I made mom play that every single day, and I wish I still had the CD. That could be worth money now.
I'm just gonna play.
It goes for like 150 to 200 bucks on Discogs right now.
Fuck.
We better let's drive over to mom's house right now. Wake her up.
It's
be
probably
like,
still there.
Where is it? Yeah,
Mom,
probably. I'm
Where's
just gonna.
the CDs?
I'm just gonna start playing a game where I figure out how to work in a story about the Grove into every podcast that we do.
I nailed it today. I nailed it.
Like
I
the
feel
second
for me,
time.
like, I mean, I would sit there and play Kingdom Hearts 2, and I would just like sit there as a kid with like the main menu music going, and just be sitting there like doodling or doing like my homework or something,
Yeah.
and that would be like on my TV in the corner. And I'd just be listening to it, just kind of doing whatever I would need to do. Like those songs composers, like Simple and Clean by Utada is just fucking phenomenal off grip.
It's mint.
But like, I mean, the music that they made for those games, I feel like JRPGs in general too, they really like just they full sent that shit. I mean, any like all those games made by Japan, you listen to those OSTs, and they put their souls into that shit.
I want to shout out Yoko Shimonomura. That's who was the composer for all three Kingdom Hearts games and every single Kingdom Hearts game. I will give that Kingdom Hearts 3 was extremely not for me. Other people
was
enjoyed it.
mid.
I'll accept it. Other
Kingdom
people
Hearts
enjoyed
3
it.
was mid.
But there's one thing I will add. Unfortunately, I always find the good in something, and that is the music. So,
Oh yeah.
the most important part of this game for me was when they remix Shrouding Dark Cloud, the boss song for probably like Guard Armor, Wonderland, and like
Yo.
Monstro and stuff. They remixed it so fucking hard in the Kingdom Hearts 3 when you're fighting the fucking the lolly doll in Toy Story Land
Yo.
that comes to life. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm transported back to being 7 years old again. I loved it. Game still sucked.
Can we
But-
can we talk? Why does the soundtrack work so well though for Kingdom Hearts?
Because
it really does.
they-
Because like you'll sit there and it's like, especially the boss music, the story music's great, but like the actual like legit music they really put out, like vocalizations and stuff like that, you're just like, This hits my soul. I'm 10 years old. I don't know this.
They match the
I mean,
they're like given a prompt with the Disney World, and they match it pretty well. And
I was gonna say that it's like the immersion for me. Like you've always known, I think that the Traverse Town OST music is one of my favorite songs off that soundtrack, and it's because it fits the vibe of that area so
it's
well.
so jazzy. You just want to sit down and drink some coffee in the middle of the night.
That's legit. All right, so when I bought my Oculus Quest 2 and I downloaded VR Chat, when I discovered that there was a Traverse Town world in there, that was like, all right, that's my home world now. So now every time I load it up, I just get booted into Traverse Town.
Living
And
the
I
I
just
dream.
remember when you got that, you were like, "Yo, there's a fucking Traverse Town world. I'm here now."
Yeah,
That's where you live
that
now.
was the dream since I was like a little kid, was to live in Traverse Town.
You can almost
Bro,
do it.
he's just like, y'all loved when they played Let It Go beat for beat in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm just like, I wanted to fucking kill myself.
I think that was one of the best parts of the game. The Frozen world sucks so hard, but they were like, we got to throw this in. Disney was like, fucking make it
He's
happen.
like, all right, listen, y'all can do what you want, but you have to have this. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Honestly, though, on that subject, before I move to something else, Woody absolutely fucking ratioing Zemn, not fucking,
Young Xehanort.
yeah, young Xehanort
Dude, that
was
was
the
some...
hardest shit, bro. That motherfucker was like, you have no friends, no bitches.
No
like,
one loves you. No bitches.
no bitches. Like,
It was awesome.
but
I
for
feel
me,
I
I
feel
think
extremely targeted by that.
modern OSTs, and this is gonna come as a shock to fucking zero people.
Sonic?
Doom.
Doom, yeah.
Nick
Doom.
Gordon did not have to do what he did on Doom. Eternal, he had his issues with. That
Yep.
the
So
modern day Doom, holy fucking shit. The first time I ever heard BFG Division, I fucking shit myself.
So I've heard that there were a lot of issues with Doom Eternal, and if I remember correctly, what happened was he was able to, I guess, record a couple songs for it, and then Bethesda was like, "All right, you're done," and they booted him from it, and just basically used like reissued tracks from the first
Yep.
Doom or something like that.
There was
So-
some production issues with it. I can't remember what was going on. There was a lot on both sides because it was something I followed hot because I just like Doom and I fucking loved the soundtrack for it. So it was something we were following really closely. And it was back and forth blame. I mean, you had Mick saying, "No, listen, I am making this the way they wanted me to make it, but they're like, dogging me on this, they're dogging me on that." And then Bethesda's coming back with, "Oh, well, Mick didn't follow our guidelines and this and that and this and that." And it's like, bro, the man already wrote one fucking perfect metal banger for you. Why don't you just fucking let him do it again and call it a day? Because
But see, that was the problem. Bethesda was like, "Oh, that's right, we have this whole perfect soundtrack already. We'll just use it again."
And then they literally, what they did was they chopped up bits and pieces of like BFG, Nuke Side, stuff like that. They chopped up parts of various songs and then just had their in-house dude just kind of string them together. Like there's a level I've been playing through Doom Eternal again on my PC, and there's literally a part where it's like the da 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 from BFG Division, and then it goes right into something from another song, and I'm like, really?
I don't think they're expecting us to listen to that, but we're like, music's pretty cool, so we're always listening to it.
I don't know what they expected when when they finally released the original Doom OST from I think 2016 when it came out, 2016, 2017, some fucking time around there. I'm bad. I have bad chrono memory. But I mean, when they finally released it on like streaming services, it skyrocketed. I mean, shit, the YouTube videos for it had hundreds of thousands of plays. And they were like, "Oh yeah, fuck Mick." And we're like, that man made that game.
Yeah, they really
That
fucked
game
up
is
with
great.
that.
I love Doom, don't get me wrong. Game is just such a fun game. But that game would not be as fun as it was if the soundtrack wasn't like it is.
He really killed the soundtrack for them. And like a funny, not a like a fun fact, but like kind of a cool thing about the soundtrack for Doom. If you can find it on vinyl, I highly recommend snagging it. My old assistant store manager managed to cop one. I would imagine because of Bethesda's current legal issues with him that there will be no more repressings of that album. So I would imagine the value for that record is going to be extremely high at some point, higher than it already is.
It already goes for like I think around 100. I'll look at Discogs.
Yeah, and that's for like the standard one. The deluxe edition it goes for like a couple hundred, I think. So,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah,
they're
if
not going to repress that shit because Mick isn't going to let them do it again because he's still technically he did the music, but he still holds some of the rights to those tracks. He wow licensed them to Bethesda under certain clauses. I don't know how all that kind of shit works, but he still has some kind of ownership to those songs. So it's like they're butting heads now. He's not gonna let them repress that shit. He's not gonna let them make more money off that shit.
Hey, do you
Like
guys play
it's
Fortnite?
love Fortnite.
Hey,
Shut up.
there's a good emote. I forgot what it's called.
Banger soundtrack is banger.
Yeah,
on
they got
Fortnite.
there's an emote that this like SoundCloud rapper sampled out of it, and the song is called Fortnite Dance, and it fucks so hard. And I didn't realize this till I heard it on Fortnite. I think fucking someone I was playing with used the emote. I was like, I heard that in a song before. They got the MIDI for it and used it as a beat for one of their songs. I think it was a genius. It was a power play. I'm gonna be honest. It was really fantastic. And Fortnite's a great game. 10 out of 10. Great graphics.
I see that shit on TikTok all the time where somebody takes like an old song or like a sound or something and they turn it into something completely different. And I know we've had samplers like literally forever now and people have been doing it forever, but it always blows my mind to hear like how people can like hear something and just create something completely different from it.
From Fortnite.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey,
Probably did bring it up on the side of like the whole Doom Eternal OST. Mick was also running super behind on the mixes, which I do remember hearing on both
So
sides.
that
He
was,
was
I think that was the
very
big
behind.
issue was Bethesda hit him with like a bunch of time restraints for it, and they were
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, you're taking too long."
Which I mean, like I get from like a development theory too, and Bethesda being Bethesda, but like, I mean, as much as I fucking love some of the games they've released. I'm a fucking Fallout fan through and through, but I have been since like the old PC games. Bethesda doesn't have a great track record of releasing games that aren't broken anyway. They could have probably waited an extra 3 months for him to finish the fucking mixes and called it a fucking day. Because the ones they mixed out sound like fucking shit.
I think
For
Bethesda
real.
just kind
And
of
like
sucks now, like in general.
normally I would say that's probably not a great idea because I think anytime you have like a game that is in development waiting to be released, it's just costing you money. But he did so well on the first soundtrack, and Bethesda already knew that that soundtrack got a great reception. Why would you just not wait for him to do it?
Yeah. Because
Like you,
especially now, I mean, you look at, like, the soundtrack really is such an important key of the game. I mean, if I'm playing a racing game right now and the soundtrack fucking sucks, I'm just going to pull up Spotify and turn the radio off
I'm
on the
just gonna
fucking
kill
game.
myself in game.
yo,
Yeah.
can we talk about the best feature that the Xbox 360 had, which was the ability to link your Zune to your Xbox and play music while you were playing a game?
Your move,
I didn't know
iPod.
that because I was a
Yeah,
PlayStation kid, but that's fucking cool as fuck.
it was super cool, except for there was a certain point where like Xbox wouldn't update anymore, so it wouldn't show all of the songs I actually had on my Zune. It was just like the list I had from like months previous.
It,
So it was kind of glitchy.
it wasn't ready
But I
for
mean,
it, I don't think.
yeah, it was still a really cool idea at the time. And I mean, I would play Fable or Fable 2 and just listen to like Viva La Vida while I played it because it was kind of like, oh, like what music is going to go really well with this game. And I think we should probably talk about Fable as well and like
Fable, yeah.
Danny Elfman on the OST.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Danny Elfman's contributions to Fable are not available on the Spotify, on the album that's on Spotify. Anything that's not done by Danny Elfman is available, but Fable is very iconic for its medieval sounding,
I mean, the whole OST is pretty great, but I mean, Danny Elfman definitely contributed a good amount to it.
Yes. Before
I
we
hate how you want, but I have played Fable.
we'll talk about it later. I want to close this out with something. You guys don't even really like Nintendo. I know
we
Michael
didn't even
doesn't.
talk about Minecraft. We didn't talk about Stardew Valley.
We didn't talk about Terraria, which would
All of like the minimalist ambient music for like these games that satisfy my fucking OCD.
I think
I mean,
Nintendo
we all
is super
listen to
important to
lo-fi
talk about.
Study and relax, too. It's all about the same thing.
Listen, have y'all ever played Animal Crossing? Right.
Oh, yeah.
Chat's played
Yeah.
Animal Crossing. Okay, I was looking up some mixes earlier in the year, and because I listen to Nintendo music when my anxiety starts to spike a lot. The music is very relaxing. You know, the whole spiel makes me feel better. And I come to find out that the best term to describe Animal Crossing's music is French jazz. And
French jazz or French jazz?
French jazz, like croissant, like ha, like, you know. That is the best term for Animal Crossing's music, and I love everything about that. And Animal Crossing's music is something special, and I think it
Yo,
deserves a shout out.
can we do an episode on like really obscure genres,
Yes.
like subgenres one day?
Yes.
You already know I'm there on that one.
That's
you
the next
already
one.
know me.
That's the next one.
Y'all like blackened jazz?
Yo, but what about like all of like the blackened like shoegaze that comes from Japan? That's all kind of rad.
Japan's a fucking animal, dude. I got so much. You all know because like me and Marshall drop it in the fucking chat all the time. You all know the weird shit that we listen to from Japan.
Yeah, all his breakdowns in it still.
What's
So I don't know if
wild
it's-
is that's not even like the really weird shit that comes from
yeah.
Japan.
There's some very, very odd and end music that comes from there. Like Japanese noise bands are just like I don't even
Kinda like-
fucking know what to call them, bro.
I don't know if like what is it, Merzbow is from Japan, but it's like music like that where it's like people just fucking creating the weirdest, like harshest noises they can.
sticking their dick in a chainsaw.
Yeah, basically, they're just fucking hooking up a chainsaw to a couple HM Metal Zone pedals and seeing what the fuck happens. Like,
And then they do like shows like that, and there's people just like in like this dark, like kind of like dingy nightclub, and there's some dude with like super greasy hair just like headbanging while he's playing like a fucking like theremin or some shit.
We steal that guy's lunch money.
more gangs forever.
You maybe you two did. I was that guy.
We steal your lunch money. I also saw a comment earlier about Jet Set Radio Future, and I want to give that one a shout out real quick.
Yeah, Jet Set's fire. Proggy did mention Metal Gear Rising.
Nope.
I haven't played Rising in a hot fucking minute, but yes, that soundtrack is fucking perfect for that game.
I've never played
Absolutely.
any Metal Gear games in my life.
You thought Kingdom Hearts was convoluted, bro? Let me introduce you to the second runner-up, Metal Gear.
Nah,
Metal Gear.
Kingdom Hearts has lost my trust with that. I'm not
Yeah,
following
dude,
anymore.
We need an honorable mention for the Souls games.
Yeah.
Dark-
I'm not good
Dark
at
Souls
them,
and-
but...
Dark Souls and Bloodborne are both on like the top-rated OSTs of all time.
Oh, Bloodborne's
absolutely,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Bloodborne is fantastic.
The
That's-
orchestral music that they put in a Bloodborne is just fucking inducing, dude. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I saw this video of a guy taking Dire Docks from Super Mario 64 and making it into the Bloodborne genre. So like
What?
just twisting it, and then he did the same with taking a Bloodborne song and making it sound like Super Mario 64.
You need to drop those in the fucking music tab.
I
In the fucking
It was a very
Discord,
interesting watch. He showed his whole process, and like, oh, it was so good. It sounded like you were fighting a giant HP Lovecraftian beast, but like with a plumber, you know, like an
With a
Italian
plumber,
plumber.
with a plumber.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, wasn't those TikToks I showed you earlier? Wasn't that like one of the songs from like the Super Mario OST or Mario 64?
Yeah.
Now I can't think of that song
I
without
don't-
this video.
I don't know what it sounds like now, but I remember it when I hear it.
Was it the fucking cursed mashup, dude?
No, it was the actual song. It's like the TikTok of the guy he's got his camera out and he's looking at it and he starts shrugging with a really silly face. He's like,
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking
and
about.
it's got Super Mario music playing, and then someone always stitches it saying, what did you do with my family? And then the guy's just like,
Yeah, there's this dude. He just stitches that one video and reacts to it in a bunch of different ways. And he's like, "Did you fuck my wife?"
it's fucking hilarious.
And it's just the Mario 64 music playing over it, and my brain is like, "Yes, this is very good."
It's the music that plays when you get the wings for the cap and you can fly around. I forgot.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
But yeah, Super Mario 64, I guess, is kind of iconic with its music. All of the Mario music is, obviously. I've heard, I saw a video on YouTube where someone took a Super Mario song and it matched along with the bass line of, I think, Come Together Perfectly by the Beatles.
Yup.
So like that's kind of cool. I don't know. Crash Bandicoot. Michael's wearing a Crash Bandicoot shirt. The original
Gotta
trilogy,
represent.
the soundtrack's so good. Very like island
They
of
did
the
they did the
sounding.
island tropical sound before Paramore did it.
Yeah, they really, and then Paramore was like,
And then
"This is
Paramore
the
was like,
sound."
we'll take that. We'll steal that.
Thank you. We'll take that.
Look, one thing, it's weird, but on the OST side, wasn't as great of a game as the mainline entries, but DMC Devil May Cry, fucking Cell Dweller and Blue Stolly did the whole fucking soundtrack for that game, and it's fucking awesome.
I don't think I've ever played a Devil May Cry game.
It's great. It's just super heavy, like pissed off electronica metal kind of stuff like that, like very much like overly electronicized guitars, things of that nature. I'll drop a few of the songs from there in the Discord, but like that soundtrack's fire. To a hack and slash demon killing game, like had that and Doom, like I can't think of a better one.
I just dropped the Discord link. Join it. We're gonna, if there's anything that we mentioned tonight, we're gonna drop it in there. So any like the best mentions tonight, we're gonna throw it into the Discord so you can listen to it if you haven't, or if you haven't played the game, get off your ass, play the game. Like,
I need a whole playlist of like actual songs that are in The Sims, but it's the Sims version.
Pressure by Paramore. That was an iconic find for me.
There was what was it? There was a Glass Animals song
In
that
Sims
was
4,
in-
right?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Sims 4, and I think on Spotify they actually released like the Sim version.
Yeah, I think I saw
Which
them
is kinda
doing
cool.
it. Simlish. Katy Perry has a Simlish song. Like I said, Paramore and The Sims 2, they had a Simlish song.
The Sims 2.
The Sims 2, Simlish is fucking insane. Poppin' and say Vice City soundtrack is awesome. Hair metal and new wave. Yes, sir. We already got that for you. San Andreas, also bonkers soundtrack. Grand Theft Auto was like the big mention of tonight, I think. I'm glad we talked about that.
Grand Theft and Burnout, like
Yeah.
Burnout for me was just that thing. Like I can't. I still listen to it. I mean, I'm listening to where the fuck now. I'm listening to fucking Mini Suzuki. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I think I did, like, Newfound Glory was a band that was on Burnout that I discovered them through there, and it took me probably about like 10 years to actually be like, damn, Newfound Glory is actually one of the best pop punk bands like out there.
y'all.
And so I can thank Burnout for that. And also yeah, you know,
We do have a cool announcement. Kind of, I'm not going to mention it like on here, but we'll be announcing it this week for the next guest. But I'm very excited to see because I wasn't actually part of it because I couldn't really contribute to anything to that. But I'm very excited because it's one of Michael's favorite, one of Michael's like top artists, and that man absolutely carried the whole interview. And I'm very excited to see him like absolutely come into his element. I think y'all are really gonna enjoy
Yeah.
that shit.
Not excited to see that.
Michael-
Not excited to relive that again.
he did absolutely amazing. I realize I am not great at interviewing, but the next guest is I'm super excited for everyone to watch that. July is going to be so crazy
People
for
are
the Sound Corner.
y'all are gonna fucking lose it. I am so excited for the next like 3 to 4 weeks of these guests.
You know what they say.
We got some kings on here.
Big stuff coming soon.
Big things coming soon, and it's just a fucking promo.
Just a pile of shit.
But yeah, no, for real though, we've got some really cool guests coming up over the next few weeks. The next one, like they were saying, is somebody that I've been listening to for years, even though he's not really super well known. But he's just like one of those great artists that like nobody knows about, that like anybody who likes indie or alternative music should know about. So hopefully we'll get him a little bit of attention on
I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Greg Norton. Our team is growing. We have a producer. We have an editor now. The Sound Corner is like a family, and it's slowly growing. And there's so much content coming soon. I'll drop the links for everything real quick. There you go. So you can see our Instagram, our TikTok, our Twitter, our YouTube to watch the full episodes. A lot of stuff is coming your way. We have a show.
I don't know what it is about that. Like the fact that we have like a little, it's not just the two of us anymore. We have like a little team. It makes it feel like there's four of us. It makes it feel like that much more real, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like this is like, it's a group effort at this point.
It's moving along quite smoothly. We have a show coming up in August with the boys in Gloom and Regions and Murder Afloat, Head High, and Malice Strikes in Brandon, Florida at the Hole in the Wall and the Noise Box. So come out there. We might be giving out some free merch, maybe free Sound
Yeah,
Corner
we got
merch.
some little things cooking, and then I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say this on stream, so it's on record. If we get 50 heads paid for that show, Jesse is bringing me his. Jesse from Regions is gonna bring his Crocs. I will shotgun a beer through one of that man's Crocs.
50 people
And
better
I
roll
will,
out,
and I will
If
record
we
it
get
with
50
my
heads paid,
DSLR
I will
camera.
do that shit on camera.
and it'll
Can-
be
Me and Chris will each bring our DSLR cameras, and we'll like multi-angle that shit, like pro recording.
it'll be in every intro for our video podcast every week. I'm gonna work on printing out some merch for that show. I'm also trying to make bumper stickers. I got a sticker that I'm gonna make tonight that says "Wash your ass" with an anime girl on it. Maybe that might be
Give the people what they want.
that's what they want. Also, so a lot of good stuff coming our way and hopefully your way. If you're new to tonight's stream, join our Discord, follow us. Love seeing the community grow, and this has been a really fun addition to the Sound Corner Summer. We definitely got a couple more of these in us, and then we'll have a Sound Corner Fall and a Sound Corner Winter, Spring, then Summer Part 2, Battle Tendencies.
You don't have seasons in Florida, Chris. It's all fucking Sound Corner Summer, baby.
Every day is Sound Corner Summer. This could be Sound
Fucking hate it here.
Sound Corner Phantom Blood, Sound Corner Battle Tendencies, Sound Corner Stardust Crusaders.
Sound Corner Vegas, baby.
Our next episode, I'm gonna say it now. Our next Sound Corner Summer episode is the importance of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure soundtrack. So let's see, probably mid-July. We'll see you guys there for that. Stream announcement for our next guest will be on Friday. If you're listening to this on Spotify right now, ignore all that because Friday is probably already passed. You can find all these episodes probably the next day after we're done with this live stream. So if you're listening to this on Spotify right now, ignore that too. Doesn't matter. Not important. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. It has been a pleasure as always. Play us out, Johnny. Anyone? No.
Love
Okay.
y'all.
All right, everybody. Say goodbye. We got school in the morning.
Oh, we sure do. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for
Night,
hanging
yeah.
out.
Thanks for hanging out.